When it comes to the type of people who act ruthlessly and speak little, if Russia calls itself second, no one dares claim to be first. This fighting nation is not only good at war, but is also extremely tough in the way it interrogates and imprisons criminals. This is Russia, home to the infamous Black Dolphin Prison. Inside, only 650 inmates are held, but there are as many as 900 guards, almost one-third more than the prisoners. And that's not even counting more than 100 police dogs, dozens of sniper towers, and endless stretches of barbed wire fencing. In fact, to enjoy such a luxurious level of security, the inmates held here are all hardcore offenders. Each of them carries, on average, 5 lives on their conscience, and all have been sentenced to life in prison, including murderers, mafia members, terrorists, and so on. Among them, the most terrifying of all is a cannibal demon whose crimes once shocked the world. The inmate in front of us is named Vladimir Nikolaev. However, following the convention of our channel, we'll refer to him from now on as Telingpu. After drinking, Telingpu brutally killed a man and even showed off his cooking skills at a gathering of friends, turning the victim's body into a delicacy, served on the table as if he delighted to leak the above ODI. Costin, is it the network connection? He lied that this was kangaroo meat from Australia. But ironically, there was someone there who had actually been to Australia, and this person immediately became suspicious, taking a piece of the meat for testing. They were horrified to discover that these pieces of so-called kangaroo meat were in fact from the corpse the police were searching for. Just imagine if you had also been sitting at that table. How would you feel inside? Even more frightening is that after a rigorous interrogation, it was confirmed that he had killed 3 victims. Furthermore, because he had no money to drink, Telingpu even cut up the bodies and sold the meat for alcohol. In 1996, Telingpu was arrested by the police and sentenced to death. But in that very year, Russia announced the suspension of the death penalty, and all death sentences were commuted to life imprisonment. He thought he had just snatched back his life, but what he didn't expect was that in Black Dolphin Prison, serving a life sentence is truly a fate worse than death. Black Dolphin Prison is located in Orenburg, southeast of Moscow. Interestingly, the emblem of Black Dolphin Prison was actually created unintentionally by an inmate's casual drawing. The guards thought it was quite artistic, so they kept it and adopted it as the symbol of one of the highest security prisons in Russia. For nearly 300 years, no prisoner has ever escaped from here. Hardly anyone even dares to have such a thought, because just taking a single step out of your cell will bring machine guns, grenades, and police dogs down on you at once. In the best case, you'll be maimed. In the worst case, you'll be killed on the spot. Even if a prisoner somehow manages to climb over the walls, dozens of snipers will immediately switch to hunting mode, and letting him run 100 meters ahead won't be a problem at all. In addition, to prevent riots, the guards drill in riot control exercises every day. The steel shields, close combat rubber batons, and tight formations are enough to scare anyone just by looking at them. After obtaining permission from the guards, the production team prepared to interview Telingpu about his infamous career. For the guards, taking a prisoner out of his cell is an extremely risky task. First, 8 guards are needed to escort him, along with a police dog providing cover throughout. They use the small hatch in the cell door to order the prisoner to raise his hands above his head and stand still, and only then do they open the first iron door. Next, the prisoner must put his handcuffed hands through the second iron door so the guards can secure them, then force him to lie face down. Only after confirming it is safe are they allowed to open the second iron door. But that's still not all. After being taken out of the cell, the prisoner must lie face down, facing the wall, and have his entire body scanned with a metal detector. His clothes, shoes, and even the inside of his mouth must be thoroughly checked. Although these steps are very cumbersome, the guards have strictly followed this procedure for many years. After all, these prisoners can hardly be called human anymore. They are like demons from hell. In fact, even with such strict management, the guards still frequently seize all kinds of contraband. For example, one prisoner burned the filter tip of a cigarette and pressed it into a sharp blade. Don't underestimate this tiny object. Not long ago, an innocent inmate was attacked by his cellmate, and his carotid artery was slashed in an instant, nearly bleeding to death. Telingpu was brought to an iron cage to wait for the warden and reporters to arrive. Of course, even in the cage he was not allowed to move freely. He had to stay face down, turned toward the wall, under the watch of guards and police dogs. All of these are necessary security measures. After everyone had taken their positions, The guard would fasten his handcuffs to a chair that was welded to the floor to prevent him from standing up and committing another crime. Telingpu was born in 1959. In the 3 years from 1993 to 1996, he continuously killed 3 people and directly cooked their bodies, even pretending it was just an ordinary dish to share with family and friends. After being arrested, Telingpu showed absolutely no remorse. Even when facing reporters during an interview, he said, "The taste was quite good. It was a sweet and tasty dish," as he recalled the meal. With such a twisted and perverse mindset, it's no surprise that the guards have to give him special treatment. What's more, during the interview, the guards were anything but idle. They searched the cell from top to bottom, including the mattress, pillows, and door locks. Even the iron bars of the grill had to be struck one by one with a hammer to check whether any of them had been loosened. Compared with Telingpu's deranged behavior, this inmate seems much more normal. His name is Sawadi, and he was sentenced to life imprisonment for killing 5 people. Today is the day he gets to go to work. Under the escort of 8 guards and a police dog, he is taken to the work area. It must be emphasized that in order to prevent prisoners from learning the layout of the prison, when escorting them through different areas, the inmates must be blindfolded, handcuffed behind their backs, and forced to walk bent over. Even the upper sides of the corridors are covered with metal sheeting, so prisoners cannot sense their surroundings. The inmates are gathered into one holding room and lined up, waiting for the guards to confirm that all doors are securely locked before their handcuffs are removed, one by one, so they can start working. Of course, being chosen to work is considered being a model prisoner. First, the crime has to be relatively lighter. Someone like the cannibal demon Telingpu would never have this opportunity. Second, during 3 years of serving time, they must not commit any violation of prison rules. And finally, they still have to be personally approved by the warden. Sawadi is quite lucky to have been chosen, because if you're locked in a cell 24 hours a day, anyone would find it hard not to go crazy. The prison mainly does processing work for work uniforms and sanitation clothing for a private company in Moscow. All these products in various styles are made by the prisoners themselves. Sawadi's job is sewing, and he has to work 8 hours a day, 5 days a week. The work is hard, and the pay is very low. He receives only 4,336 rubles a month, which is equivalent to about 376 yuan. For a lifer like Sawadi, how much money he earns no longer matters. He is fairly satisfied with his situation, because at least he has work to do and doesn't feel he is wasting time. 5 in the afternoon is quitting time for the inmates. Sawadi is cuffed again, blindfolded, and made to walk bent over under the supervision of guards and police dogs before being taken back to his cell. The prison provides 3 meals a day. A piece of bread, a bowl of potatoes, and a bowl of porridge make up their daily ration. After the cooks finish preparing the food, the guards distribute it through the small hatch and hand out portions to each prisoner. Letting inmates sit and eat together is simply unrealistic because many of them have no scruples when they lash out. Fights can break out easily, along with violent assaults causing injuries. To prevent prisoners from becoming depressed after being locked up too long, the prison arranges 2 hours a week for them to get some fresh air. The problem is, this so-called fresh air is actually just escorting them to another open-top cell to stay alone for a while. Overhead, it is also covered with barbed wire mesh, and guards patrol right above. Even under such harsh conditions, the prisoners still value this opportunity because it is the rare moment each week when they get to see the sky. To manage this group of vicious criminals, the guards inevitably resort to some extreme measures. Punching and kicking are considered mild punishments. Chili water, tiger chairs, and nail-clipping pliers and the like are also often used. Facing these tortures, the prisoners can only seethe with anger in silence, and in front of the cameras, they dare even less to tell the truth. A few stubborn inmates will risk everything and use family visits to smuggle word of what's happening inside to the outside world. But the outcome is predictable. Their relatives outside have no way to seek justice, while the prisoners inside are punished twice as harshly. This leaves the inmates' families suffering beyond words. There was a prisoner who mysteriously lost all 20 fingernails and toenails at once, clearly the result of having his nails pulled out under torture. But the prison authorities explained that he had a nail fungus that had spread among the prisoners until their nails simply fell off, and that it had nothing at all to do with the prison they are half playing. Pontov Hotkananigamia, Valaya Vigazakta Kantast. Perhaps this is what is truly most terrifying about Black Dolphin Prison. a place where even if you die, you may never know how it happened. Alright, if you enjoyed this video, please hit like, subscribe, and leave a comment. Prison Diary will take you to see a wider world. See you all in the next episode. Goodbye.